The sugar and refined grains, refined anything is probably bad for you.
Cancer is the second leading cause of death worldwide, and research shows that diet plays a major role in its prevention. Cancer is a disease of dysregulated metabolism. What we eat can either fuel or starve its progression. Dr. Jason Fung is a nephrologist, fasting expert, and a leading voice in metabolic health. He's dedicated years of research to understanding the link between diet, insulin resistance, and diseases like cancer. According to him, some of the biggest contributors to cancer are hidden right in our diets.
One of the big mistakes I think we made is that we focus so much on the genetics part of it, thinking that, well, this is sort of a random mutation that causes cancer, not sort of which puts the onus on sort of this random luck sort of idea that it's just bad luck.
While genetics significantly influence our risk for cancer, they are not the sole determinants in its development. Instead, cancer emerges from a complex interplay between genetic predisposition and environmental influences. Lifestyle factors like diet, physical activity, smoking, and alcohol consumption are major contributors. Exposure to harmful chemicals, pollutants, and radiation can trigger mutations in our DNA, even in individuals with a healthy genetic makeup. Infections, such as those caused by certain viruses and bacteria, further elevate the risk of developing cancer by disrupting normal cellular processes.
And some people think that's sort of a death sentence. Like if you take BRCA, which is a certain type of gene, for example. So this is the gene that Angelina Jolie, for example, got diagnosed with. Her mom had cancer, I think, or, an aunt had cancer. So she got tested and she had the gene. And people think, well, for sure you're going to get, cancer. But it turns out that if you look at the incidence of cancer, if you have BRCA, if you have that gene, in the 30s and 40s and 50s, that risk of breast cancer was like 30% compared to sort of like 80% in modern day America. So what's the difference? Even though you have the same genes, what's the difference between those two situations? And it comes down to the lifestyle. So the point about cancer is that cancer is like a seed. So if you have the genetics, you have the propensity to develop cancer. And this seed of cancer actually exists in all of our cells, and actually not just all our cells, but in all multicellular animals have that sort of seed of cancer. So what's important then is you can't do anything about the seed, but what you can do something about is the soil, which is that if you provide a fertile sort of soil for that seed to germinate, then you are going to increase your risk of developing this cancer. And cancer is not a rare disease. I mean, it affects like 1 in 10 of us, 1 in 8 of us, something like that. So it's something that we really have to think about as we live longer, because it is one of these really important things.
Chronic inflammation and stress also play critical roles by creating an environment that promotes cancerous growth. Therefore, while genetics provide the underlying blueprint, it is our lifestyle choices and environmental exposures that often determine whether cancer will manifest. Embracing preventive measures and healthy habits can substantially mitigate the risk, even for those with a family history of cancer. Let's go over the 5 worst offenders. Food 1. Processed sugar.
Sort of sugar is probably one of the very, very important things that we really need to lower, because that really supports it.
Cancer cells depend heavily on glucose for survival. This phenomenon, known as the Warburg effect, was first identified by Nobel Prize-winning scientist Otto Warburg. High sugar intake increases insulin resistance, inflammation, and insulin-like growth factor 1, which promotes tumor growth. While sugar itself doesn't directly cause cancer, its impact on the body can create conditions that favor cancer development. Consuming high amounts of sugar leads to rapid spikes in blood glucose levels, which in turn trigger an overproduction of insulin. Elevated insulin levels, along with associated growth factors, can promote abnormal cell proliferation and inhibit the natural process of apoptosis, cell death. This environment may allow precancerous cells to thrive and multiply. Additionally, excessive sugar intake is linked to chronic inflammation and obesity, both significant risk factors for various types of cancer, such as breast, colorectal, and pancreatic cancer. High sugar diets can also impair immune function, diminishing the body's ability to detect and eliminate emerging cancer cells. Therefore, while sugar isn't a carcinogen on its own, the metabolic disturbances it causes can indirectly support cancer progression. Food 2. Refined carbohydrates and ultra-processed foods.
A lot of the refined foods and people talk, and the most that we eat, like the one thing we eat more than anything else tends to be refined carbohydrates. So, white bread and that kind of thing. That's probably the most important thing.
A study published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute found a strong correlation between high glycemic index foods and colorectal, breast, and pancreatic cancers. White bread, white rice, and pasta spike blood sugar levels rapidly, leading to chronic inflammation and insulin resistance, key risk factors for cancer. Refined carbohydrates and ultra-processed foods significantly contribute to an environment that may encourage cancer development. These foods cause rapid spikes in blood sugar, leading to elevated insulin levels and increased production of insulin-like growth factors, IGFs. IGFs can promote abnormal cell proliferation and inhibit apoptosis, the natural process of eliminating damaged cells. Moreover, refined carbs and ultra-processed items typically lack essential nutrients like fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants, depriving the body of critical components that help repair DNA and combat oxidative stress. These products are also high in unhealthy fats, additives, and preservatives, which can fuel chronic inflammation, a known risk factor for cancer. Over time, the persistent metabolic disturbances and inflammatory state created by these dietary choices may foster an environment where cancer cells can thrive and multiply. Choosing whole, minimally processed foods over refined carbohydrates and ultra-processed alternatives can be an effective strategy to lower cancer risk and promote overall health.
Sugar and refined grains, refined anything is probably bad for you.
Food 3. Refined oil.
Even if you're not talking about carbohydrates, but refined, say, oils, you should eat natural oil.
Industrial seed oils, such as soybean, corn, and canola oil, contain high amounts of omega-6 fatty acids, which promote chronic inflammation, a major driver of cancer. Studies show that excessive omega-6 intake disrupts the omega-6 to omega-3 balance, leading to DNA damage and tumor growth. Hydrogenated oils contain trans fats, which have been linked to a higher risk of breast and prostate cancer. Refined oils, often extracted through high heat and chemical processes, may contribute to cancer development due to several factors. These oils are typically high in omega-6 fatty acids which, when consumed in excess compared to omega-3s, can promote a pro-inflammatory state. Chronic inflammation is a well-known risk factor for cancer, as it can lead to DNA damage and encourage abnormal cell growth. Additionally, refined oils are prone to oxidation, especially during high-temperature cooking. Oxidation results in the formation of harmful free radicals and toxic compounds, which can further damage cellular structures and genetic material. Over time, the oxidative stress induced by these compounds creates an environment that may facilitate the initiation and progression of cancer. To support better health, consider replacing refined oils with healthier alternatives like extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil, which contain beneficial antioxidants and a more balanced fatty acid profile. Food 4. Processed meats.
Eat foods that are sort of in the natural state, and refined meats, like eating bologna, for example. People talk about meat all the time, but it's like there's a big difference between bologna and grass-finished beef. There's a huge difference because one is jam-packed full of chemicals and other crap, and one is just beef, right? And people have been eating beef for thousands of years. So those refined foods are refined carb, but also refined fats and refined proteins. Probably those play a decent role, although the evidence is lower.
Next on the list, processed meats like bacon, sausages, and deli meats. The World Health Organization has classified processed meats as a Group 1 carcinogen, meaning there's strong evidence linking them to cancer, especially colorectal cancer. These meats often contain nitrates and preservatives that create harmful compounds in the body. Processed meats have been linked to an increased risk of cancer, particularly colorectal cancer. These meats often contain preservatives like nitrates and nitrites, which can convert into harmful compounds known as nitrosamines during cooking. Nitrosamines are recognized carcinogens that damage DNA and may promote tumor formation. Additionally, processed meats are frequently high in saturated fats and additives that can contribute to chronic inflammation, a recognized cancer risk factor. The combination of chemical exposure and inflammatory processes creates an environment that may encourage cancer development. 5. Eating all the time.
And the other thing that is really important, the fifth thing that's probably very important, is likely the frequency that we eat. That is, eating all the time provides that sort of fertile soil.
Eating all the time, or frequent overeating, can contribute to cancer development through its impact on the body's metabolic processes. Constantly consuming food throughout the day leads to persistent spikes in insulin levels, which can promote cellular growth and reduce the body's ability to repair damaged DNA. Elevated insulin levels also foster an inflammatory environment, which is linked to cancer progression. Additionally, frequent eating can interfere with the body's natural fasting and repair cycle, during which the immune system works to eliminate damaged cells, including potential cancer cells. Dr. Jason Fung, a specialist in intermittent fasting, suggests that giving the body time to rest between meals reduces insulin resistance and inflammation. By allowing periods of fasting, the body can better regulate its metabolic functions and potentially lower cancer risk. Moderating meal frequency and adopting healthy eating patterns can help support better metabolic health and reduce overall cancer risk. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future health tips. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to explore next, drop a comment below. I love hearing from you. Stay healthy, stay informed, and see you in the next video.